In this video, we're going to go through Brobench event log file viewer capability, which is part of Org Monitor. Event log files are the analytics for your Salesforce org. So by default, Salesforce includes basic event types, but if you subscribe for a particular package, like a platform shield or some other package, Salesforce is going to include all other event types for you to download and view them. So Salesforce generates the lot of data for them. Okay, what reports are generated, or sorry, what reports are executed, if they are exported or not exported, what queries are executed, which Apex class is called, which callout has been made. So every activity that you do in Salesforce org is captured in one of those event types. Okay. So there are a lot of event types. So it generates a massive files among those. The one thing the Salesforce does a really great job in collecting all of this information. So the one job Salesforce doesn't do well is actually to be able to download or view them. So far, we were not even able to do that from within Salesforce UI. So recently, they introduced a log file browser that allows you to list the files and download them. But still, it's on you to be able to open them, easily able to search the data that you're looking for, or group by, do any of those activities. So that's where we have added the event log file viewer in Brobench. Okay, so event log file viewer is part of org monitor. Org monitor is set of tools to monitor your org, starting from org limits with the snapshots, setup audit search, the login history search, and other tools. So you can go to the org monitor from here, go to the modules, and then org monitor. By default, it goes to the org limit capability. As you can see, there are deploy results, setup audit, login history search, event log files viewer, email log viewer, code coverage, and the health check. So it shows all of this data. Okay, so you can click on the event log files, and when you go there, it lists the daily files by default. So it fetches all the daily files and shows them. Daily files are one file generated per day per event. So there are a lot of event types. So this number can be quite high in a bigger org. Okay. So if you want to just deal with the daily or view the daily files, you are good. But if you want to see hourly files, or if you want to see the daily files only for a certain particular time interval or the types, so that you can download only those, right? You can go and filter them here. You can say hourly, for example. Let's say I want to show API, and then it's going to show all hourly API files. Okay, you can go change them. For example, let's say I'm going to go back to daily, and then all files, or if you want to specify the date and time, you can specify the range, and it will show the dates, the files matching that particular request. Okay, so once you have the event log, the file listing, the metadata per se, and you can go download them. You can just click on here, and it will download that particular file. Okay, you can also download multiple. For example, let's say you wanted to download all the APIs that have happened in a 24 hours, right? Or maybe over a week. You can just select multiple of them like that and click on download. For example, if you go and say download these two files, and you can see that it'll start downloading one by one. Okay, so multiple files will be downloaded to your standard browser download folder. Okay. So you can right click, and then you can actually click on the open event type help. So this will show documentation for that particular event monitor. Okay, so for example, you can go here and then say event log file type, and then it will show the details for that particular event type. Okay, so each event log files is a CSV file with its own number of columns included in a particular event. So you want to understand, you want to go and read that particular documentation to understand what is actually there in that particular event, unless you're already familiar with how to visualize. So if you want to view that particular event log files in real the Brobench, you don't have to download them. You can just click on it. For example, let's say I want to see API total uses, and then this will download the file and let you browse the content. It will open basically the CSV viewer as a dialog, and you'll be able to browse it. So in this case, by default, Salesforce doesn't include any of the user metadata enrichment. For example, it just includes the user ID. So if you want to understand who the user is, what profile the user is, you would have to query the data separately and then open this particular file in Excel or some other capability and do the VLOOKUP to bring the data in to see. But Brobench does all of that handling behind the scenes. So when you open, it will automatically understands, hey, there is a user ID, and it queries the user for that particular user ID, and then it adds that information along with it so that you don't have to go and do another query and all that. So it does this metadata enrichment for the users and as well as reports. Okay, so it can be very invaluable if you just want to quickly browse and see what is done. So you can go navigate around, and then all the IDs that it has, you can actually view them, and then you'll be able to, for example, connected ID. You can hover over. If you have this one, you can hover over like that. You can see the details of that particular ID, so you'll be able to see them. Okay. Um, so once you view the file, right? So once you have the data, the full capability of the data grid in the Brobench data grid is at your disposal. For example, let's say I want to see uh, the records only for this particular user. You can right click and say filter, show rows only for the selected values. In this case, it's going to show only the records for this particular user. From here you can right click and say export. Right, you can just export these, the filter records. You can select all of these, and then you can go ahead and say export these records into various places like Excel, CSV, or a G Sheet, and all those places. Okay. The another capability that we have introduced in this version is a row grouping. So that'll also be very invaluable. For example, you can just right click here and say group by this particular column. So it's going to show the grouping by this particular user so that you can see which user has which event types, right? How many events by that particular user. Of course, you can go and see, other. You can change the grouping function, or if you wanna add additional things to the grouping, you will be able to go and do. For example, let's say uh, profile may not be the right thing. Okay, for example, let's say I go delete the groups, then I group by profile. Okay, and then let's say user profile group by, and then you can group by, oh, it's all system admin, but you get the idea, right? So you can go group by the multiple columns and to get the data that you're looking for. Okay. So the another capability that you have here is that actually opening multiple files. For example, let's say you download these multiple files. You want to see among these, those 3 or 4 days, I want to see the events for these 5 days together. So you can click on multiple, click on view. In that case, it's going to download all 5 of them, show the information together. So you really don't have to analyze individual files. If you're looking for a particular date range, you'll be able to select them and then view them all together and analyze them as a one whole unit. Okay, so that is the viewing multiple files. Keep in mind that you can't view different types, okay, together, because each type has a different columns, different data types of those columns. So it really doesn't make sense. Try to view the URI and the visual force request together. And if you try to select multiple to try to view, it will give an error that if you're trying to view multiple, it has to be of same type. Okay. Uh, so and then you can as you were viewing, you can also click on this particular link here that we have added that will allow you to open the help for that particular event type, so that this information is always at your fingertips to understand how to understand that particular event type. Okay. So you can do other things like a filtering and whatever the typical data grid capability when we are viewing the data. Okay. That is about event log file viewer in Brobench. I hope you guys like this feature, and if you think there is another capabilities that we can enhance to make it better, please, we're all ears. And thank you.